In the beginning of this tape, on the first side, I'm going to talk about the world of the shaman, his history, how the name came, where it came from, what his tasks are, what his job is, in a sense, and the different worlds that he travels to, the upper world, the middle world, the lower world. I'm going to talk about how the shaman works in the guise of day-to-day life. And then on the other side, I will lead you through a journey. At the end of this side, I will prepare you for the journey, help you gather your tools and the things that you need in order to do the journey. And then at the beginning of the next side of this tape, I will lead you into and through a journey and call you back. And I will hold the space while you are gone to bring you back. The word shaman is borrowed from a Siberian culture, the Tungus tribe, and it refers to one who works only part-time as a spiritual guide and healer. So it's someone who has another job and works as a shaman on his time off, or as his tribe needs him, or as his own spiritual path dictates. It's not somebody who is full-time employed as a shaman, okay? A shaman is independent of organized religions, even of the spiritual matrix of his tribe. He's traveling into a different world, into a different level of reality called non-ordinary reality. And he goes there, and it's independent of this world's organized spiritual practices. Whether you're Catholic or Buddhist or Hindu or Jewish or Christian in some way, that doesn't have any relevance there in a sense. It may color your journey by what you see or the guise that other beings take to come to you and speak to you or appear to you in. However, your spiritual life doesn't impinge upon non-ordinary reality per se, okay? So the shaman was independent of the medicine man. The medicine man was the healer, the physical healer of people's problems. He was the healer of their health issues in the sense of using physical remedies like herbal treatments and purging and hydrotherapy and things like that. The shaman was the person who was interested in the psychological, spiritual well-being of the person. He would look at their physical ills, and maybe he would deal with them from a non-ordinary point of view. You know, he would still deal with the physical problems, but he was looking for other components and other ways of dealing with it. The indigenous shaman always takes some form of psychic journey to the world of spirits to find out what is missing in everyday life, traveling in her dreaming body, traveling to a place, using her imagination as the door. So if you try to journey and you find yourself not being able to leave here, not being able to kind of have a sense of something else happening, let your imagination guide you. It is the key to opening the door to letting you go on your journey. People sometimes say, well, I can't move, I can't leave. I mean, my body's here, but nothing's happening. And usually it's because the mind is watching, and the mind is, you know, trying to figure something out and watching what's happening. And sometimes you just need to let your imagination play itself out and imagine going somewhere. Imagine somebody coming to you and talking to you, or this animal spirit guide showing up for you. Imagine this, and then just go with the flow, and after a while, it's what's really happening. So don't discount your imagination. Oh, I just thought it up. It wasn't really so. That's part of it. That's part of it. I was just thinking about it. I thought it up. It was all in my mind. That's part of it. That's part of the door opening so this actually can happen. Okay? So if you can just stay with me here, I tend to kind of skip around a little bit. So there's two different kinds of shamans. There's the warrior shaman who seeks the key to power and liberation. And then there's the medicine shaman who wants to heal and find self-knowledge. Okay? And Carlos Castaneda was an example of a warrior shaman. And there are other people around now who are more visible to us in a sense, like Sandy Ingerman, who wrote a book called Soul Retrieval, where she used her journeys into non-ordinary reality with incest clients, incest survivors, and brought pieces of their life back to them, pieces of themselves. And in her book, she documents many case histories of the change that occurred when these pieces were brought back to this person, where they were able to feel more integrated. The part of them that kind of flew away during their wounding experiences was brought back to them, and they were more whole. Okay? So a shaman is a person who journeys in an altered state of consciousness to the spirits and power animals, seeking them out in their own world and remaining in control during the time spent there. And that is the difference between psychic channeling and journeying, because you remain in control. You don't go into that kind of trance where you are relinquishing control and something else is taking over your form, in a sense. Okay? The places where you go are called the upper world, the middle world, and the lower world. And you go there for the purpose of helping yourself and helping others. Okay? The upper world is the world of spirit teachers a lot of times, a place where you go to gain knowledge. It is a place usually on the back of a bird or up through tree branches, going in some way up, even above the clouds on a journey. You are traveling up into the upper world, usually to be taught something, to learn something, to meet a guide or a spirit teacher. And there's different methods, as I've said, of getting there. Up a tree branch, or on the back of a bird, a natural flying creature, someone who comes to take you there, or just somehow floating up or walking on the clouds until you come to another place where you might meet someone to have a conversation with. The middle world is the mirror of this world. So say someone is sick and you have their permission, which is very important if you're going to journey for someone else, that you have their permission. And sometimes people don't know about journeying, and so you can ask them, may I pray for you? May I surround you in light? May I pray for you and hold your healing in my heart? And that is enough that you are obtaining their permission for you to assist perhaps with their healing. So someone is sick and they are in the hospital, and you would do a journey in the middle world and go to the hospital bed and stand with them in this non-ordinary reality place, this mirrored place of this world, and see how they're doing and talk to them and see what their needs are and maybe bring them some healing energy. The lower world, a journey into the lower world, is going down when you've gotten to non-ordinary reality time frame, and it's going down. It can be down the root of a tree, it can be down a spiral, it can be down a staircase, it can be riding on the back of a wolf, let's say, a power animal totem of yours on the back of a wolf, and he's taking you down through a cave and down into the bowels of the earth, let's say. That is going into the underworld, and that is going into other times, other places, sometimes the unconscious of a person, sometimes the lower worlds that take you in and down into the hidden things and the unknown realms. Okay? I'll give you some stories, if I can, toward the end. I want to make sure that I cover all the material at this part of the tape, and I'll share some personal experiences and stories with you just before the end of this side, if there's time. So, when you are journeying, let's talk about the journey itself. When you are journeying, the first step of this, and I will go over it toward the end again, the first step of this is to create a sacred space where you won't be interrupted, where you will be quiet and left alone so that you're not jarred back and interrupted and surprised. And maybe to create a small altar of the moment. It doesn't have to be anything permanent, but a few things around you that are important to you, a lit candle, perhaps a bowl of water, maybe some cedar and sage kind of smudge or smudge stick to clear and clean the space that you're going to work with, maybe using that cedar and sage to call in the directions, the 4 directions, actually the 7, when you consider the 4 directions and the above and the below and what lives in your own heart, and creating safe space, sanctuary, and then having a drum, a rattle, or a drumming tape that will allow you to sit quiet and call your spirit beings to you, your spirit guides. Okay, so I'm going to diverge here for a moment. The animal spirit, the animal kingdom in non-ordinary reality feels that when humans are born, they are so helpless that they cannot make it through this life, this world, alone, that they would perish. And so one of them usually steps forward when a child is born and says, I will walk with this being. I will be its protecting and guiding spirit. Sometimes several step forward. Sometimes one is with a person for a while and then it leaves and another one comes forward. There's thought that suicidal thoughts come when an animal totem, an animal spirit guide, for one reason or another decides to leave and another one has not shown up yet. And so the person feels extremely vulnerable and doesn't feel that it can make it through this life on its own. And so it wants to leave. And so a shaman person would go into non-ordinary reality and call a spirit guide, an animal totem, to please come forward and walk with this spirit until a more permanent animal guide comes. Or calls an animal totem that will walk the rest of its life with this person. And then that begins to change in the person's life. They no longer feel so vulnerable. They've gone through some very deep soul searching and they have a sense of empowerment again and they go on with their lives. Okay? And this is one way that shamanism is used to help a person through a crisis. Okay? So you would call your spirit guides and animal totems and send out a prayer that you're going to journey. You want them to be there for you. You want them to be with you, to guide you and help you on your way and guide you to the places that you need to go to. It is important to call 4 different guides and animal totems to you. One for protection, one as a guide, one for power, and one for courage. And you can see them, one behind you, maybe one above you if it's an air creature, and one on each side of you. It can be sometimes I've journeyed and there was a silhouette that came and he was my guide and he took me on this journey, okay? And yet it is important to have 4 guides with you. In some schools of thought, only 1 is enough. And it's up to you to see. The man I studied with said that there may be times where you need to call upon more power or more courage or a sense of protection and know that you have it there. And you may need more than 1 guide, more than 1 spirit totem with you. You call them and let them know you are coming and ask them to be there for you. You do your drumming, or you listen to the drumming tape as you sing your prayers, and you let them know, I am coming, please be there for me. This is what's going on. This is what's going on in my life or in the life of this person I'm journeying for, and I ask you to come and be there for me and to be my guides and my protection and my courage and my power if I need it. You lay down, you turn the drumming tape off, or you can journey to the drumming tape. For myself, I prefer Mickey Hart's tape, Music to be Born By, and it's available in any music store. You lay down, you put the tape in and lay down, and you do a relaxing. You allow yourself to send your mind and breath down into your feet and your legs and different parts of your body and just relax. And just relax all the tension. Maybe you have a blanket covering yourself to keep warm. You have a rattle at your hand if you are journeying for someone else. Okay? And so you picture a place that you have seen with your physical eyes that takes you into the earth. A cave, a hole in your backyard, picturing yourself going down a tree root. For myself, because I lived so many years by the ocean on the East Coast, I picture myself going down the side of a jetty and through a tunnel and coming out into a meadow. It can be anything. You can see yourself walking through a cave and coming out the backside into a forest or into the desert. You can see yourself walking between an opening in a canyon and emerging, going through some kind of tunnel-like substance, that's usually the case, and then emerging into non-ordinary reality in whatever way it's going to look for you. There is no right or wrong way to do this. There is no perfect or imperfect way to do this. This is learning how to journey. And going into non-ordinary reality, the way you go is your own. All I want to say to you is you must come back the same way. If you go down the side of a jetty and go through a tube and come out into a meadow, that is your jumping off place. You come back to that jumping off place of the meadow, you go through the tube, and you come out the side of the jetty. The way that you go is the way that you must return. That's very important. You can just wake up out of it, kind of sit up, and it's over and it's done. Yet it is best to go in one way and come back the same way. Okay? That is a real important piece of this work. Okay. So you go into your journey. You come out into your jumping off place in non-ordinary reality and see who's there to meet you. Perhaps it is a being, another shaman. Perhaps it is a tiger or a bear or a hummingbird who have shown up for you and are speaking to you or are taking you on a journey. Now, if you are journeying for yourself, if you are journeying to find who your animal totem is, then you ask for that. That's your intention. And you ask one of those beings to take you into the world to show you where you will find your animal totem, who it is, You must see the same animal 3 or 4 times. It can be all of a sudden walking through a room. Your guide is taking you through a room and you glance at the wall and there is a picture of a mountain lion, and then suddenly you're in a cage with a mountain lion, and then suddenly you are watching a mountain lion with her cubs walking up the side of a mountain. And yet you see interspersed, an eagle and maybe a wolf, maybe a bear, maybe a green snake or something. And you're curious, which one is it? But you've seen the mountain lion 3 times. It has shown itself to you in one way or another 3 different times. And you know that this spirit is talking to you. This spirit is showing itself to you so that you will understand it is your spirit totem. Okay? So now I am going to help you prepare for the actual journey. So you create some kind of a space with some smudge or incense to purify the air, purify your intention, focus the mind, lighting a candle, maybe having a picture of an animal spirit that is very meaningful to you, or of a teacher that is meaningful to you, or just setting up an altar of some kind. Maybe having a piece of antler there, or a rock that you've picked up on your walk, or a small piece of stick that is from a special place that's meaningful to you. Okay? It's good to have a candle burning for the real fire energy to be there, and maybe something of the earth like a stone, bringing in the 4 elements. The incense or the smudge is of the air, and maybe a bowl of water or a small little, even if it's a thimble full of water or something that represents that, even a picture of the ocean or of a creek. And so you create your space, you sing your prayers to the 4 directions, the 7 directions, you put in the drumming tape, and you begin to sing your prayers, and you begin to call your animal spirits to you to be there for you. This is how the procedure is going to go. And then I will suggest to you that you either continue with the drumming tape, or you put in the music to be born by tape, and you get comfortable and cover yourself. And then I will lead you through a body relaxation. I will have you relax different parts of your body, sending mind and breath into those parts. If you fall asleep at this point, don't worry about it. You will have some kind of experience, whether you remember it or not, and maybe you just need the relaxation at this point. But don't be hard on yourself, okay? And so you will go through the relaxation, and then I will say to you, feel your body spread out across the floor and go. And that is your cue to remember the place that you've seen with your physical eyes that you want to enter into, that you want to be your entry point into non-ordinary reality. And then you will enter that place, maybe go through a tunnel of some kind, come out to your jumping off place. You will have your spirit guides there, perhaps, your animal totems. There will be something there to meet you if you have called it up in some way. And so you will do your journey. You will ask this being or these beings to take you where you need to go for whatever specific reason you are there, or just to have an adventure. And I will give you 20 minutes to go off and have your experience, and then I will call you back. The tape side is 45 minutes long. So the first part will be, I will walk you through the singing your prayers, the drumming energy, and the relaxation. I will give you 20 minutes to go and have your journey. I will call you back and ask you to breathe into your body and to relax, come back into your body, fill it, begin to breathe, move and stretch and sit up. And then we will talk about some of the things that can occur on a journey. If I was doing this with you in person, then you would begin to share with me or with the group exactly what kind of adventure you had, who you saw. I would suggest the books Animal Speak by Ted Andrews and Jamie Sam's Medicine Cards are two very good sources for the meanings of the animals that have shown up for you, and possibly some of the different kinds of adventures you might have. And of course, Michael Harner's Way of the Shaman and Sandy Ingerman's Soul Retrieval. These are like, you know, the basics of shamanic practice, and there may be other ones on the book list that I'll include that might be more to your liking. By all means, check it out. Okay? And communicating with other people about your journeys, not thinking you're crazy, but knowing that other people have very different experiences, and there is no set pattern. There's just the format. You go the same way you come back. So when I call you back, you come to that jumping off place, you thank your spirit guides and animal totems, and you begin to make your way back through the tunnel and out through the entry point and coming back into your body. And all I ask is that you make the commitment to yourself that you will come back. And you will come back. I mean, even if you fall asleep, you're going to sit up and wake up. And the tape is going to end if you have a copy of that tape yourself. Or my calling you back brings you back, but you don't have to be afraid of journeying on your own, because you will come back. It's just you will feel more integrated and whole if you come back the way you went.